Hello all and welcome to the channel all about economic board games. Today I am taking a look at a classic which is just behind me, Cuba. So this one is 2 to 5 player range. It's a medium complexity and it's going to take you in the region of up to about 2 hours. So I'll pop the designer and the publisher as well in the description. So here we are. Look at this beautiful classic board here. So we are heading to Cuba and we are trying to make the most prestige, so basically getting these profits into prestige during this transition in Cuba where we're building various businesses, we're trading various goods at the markets, and we're trying to send and export some of these famous goods as well. Now those goods, you consist of resources. You've got these ones here, you've got wood, you've got stone and water, and you'll hopefully be attaining those from your plantation here. So every player has one of their boards. You've also got some products, you've got citrus, you've got sugar, and you've got tobacco. And if you can turn those into cigars and rum, well, happy days, you're getting loads of money. Now, the whole crux of the game is about this card management. So you start with 5 of these cards, and a bit like Concordia, you're going to be playing one of these as your action. Now, the actual player reference guide here, short rules, is excellent, folks. So to begin with, you've got 6 rounds, and each round you're going to be doing these 5 things. And the first thing is a bill. So just at the top here, you're going to reveal the top one here and turn them face up. Now these are going to be impacting the sort of parliamentary legislation in here. You've got a few fixed ones to begin with, but those, if you have the most sway in the parliament with your voting power, you can have, an impact on which ones of those come out. So that's bills then, done, easy as that. Action phase then. So starting with the first player, you're going to play one of these cards. Now what can you do then? So tradeswoman, and they're really clearly described here. So her voting power is 2. Don't worry about that just yet. That'll make sense shortly, because you're going to be playing 4 of these cards, and the one you keep, you're going to be looking at this voting power, and that will determine sort of how many votes you have got when it comes to that political struggle. So be mindful of which one you maybe want to keep. If you leave the worker for the end, he hasn't really got much sway, whereas if you leave the mayor, which is quite a nice powerful action in itself, then, well, if you leave that action and forgo it, you're getting 5 strength in the vote. So let's start off with number 1 then, the worker. So this chap, he can place his worker piece, which is just here on your plantation, and he can get the resources along the rows and the columns. So for example, you can place it anywhere. Let's say we go here, you're going to get all the resources on the row and all the resources on the column, but you can only have a maximum of 2 products here. So you can see the green and the white, the tobacco and the sugar. You can only have a maximum of 2 of those because you've got a third one here. So you're going to have to pick and choose which ones you're going to get. Now resources, you can have as many as those as you wish. Now all these are stashed at the top, and you start with your choice of 2 products and 2 resources as well. So that is how you're going to get these resources using the worker. Next up, we have got the foreman. And you can use any one building or all activated buildings. So similar to the worker, and you need to be mindful that when you use the worker action, depending on where that ends up, will impact your foreman, because you're then relying on that location as to which buildings you're going to trigger. So throughout the game, there's a host of buildings here. Now, they're not in the exact order they should be, and this actual version I've got mixed up in it, the actual expansion El Presidente. So you might see a few tiles, if you're familiar with the game, that should not be here. But let's say you have managed to build these throughout the game. Now, interestingly, these actually cover up some of those lucrative spots that you've been, developing for your plantation. So you've got to be really careful as to which spots you're going to cover up here. So let's say you placed your worker here and you've used the foreman. He's going to trigger this building here, which is your warehouse, and when you trigger that, it means you can take all your products and pop them in there because they're safe, because this is your sort of courtyard, your lot, and anything in there is going to get discarded at the end of a round. In regards to products, your actual resources are fine. So this worker's here, your foreman, and he's going to trigger all buildings. Now these are in a column, great. So you can get 4 money, and you can turn that tobacco there, or not tobacco, that's your cigars, up to 3 times into 2 victory points. So you have to be really careful where you leave that worker. So that's literally that, or you can use one building anywhere. So let's say you placed your worker, something like this, and you placed your worker there in the previous round, you'll notice you haven't actually got any buildings to trigger. So this is giving you a way out to choose one of them to trigger. Okay, we've got the mayor then, one of the most powerful figureheads there. So this chap, he can supply one of these ships with a number of goods, and you will hopefully have some of these here. So you're taking them from either your lot or your warehouse. So there's no point rushing to get them in your warehouse if you're then going to get rid of them all. So literally you just pop them on the ship, matching the colours, and other people can join you. So there's a bit of a race to get there and hog certain spots. And you can see this ship here, when it goes off for sale, it's 1 VP per good, 2 VPs and 3 VPs. And these will kind of cycle down through the round as well, through the rounds. And you've got one that's kind of inward bound, basically. It's in the sea, and this one will be, hitting this gradually after that round. So that was the main. Now you can, if you don't want to do that action, you can earn either 2 or 4 money. So there's a few black tokens, and you cover up the one you've taken. So, first come, first serve. No one else can come and grab that. They'll have to go for the 2 spot, depending on your player count. So that's the strength of the mayor. Now, what else we got? We got the architect, which is how you can actually build these buildings. Now, it says there you erect a building, or you can go and get 1 victory point or 2 victory points. Obviously, you're going to cover up the 2 victory points, so it's either or. So if you don't really want to build a building, but you need to use your architect, because you're going to be playing 4 out of 5 of these cards. Now, buildings, you can see they've got various costs at the top here. So I'll show you the ones we've already planted out here. So you're going to need one wood, 1 water, and 1 stone there, and then you get to build this, and you can see that one's slightly higher there. Some of them have really nice benefits, getting loads of money there. This one you can turn up to 4 times that wood into victory points. You've got certain ones here that can swap out the ships, so you've loaded up this ship and you can swap it over and it's worth less VPs. So loads of nice things here, and on the back they sort of describe what the actual building does really nicely as well. Some of them have an impact, in terms of the votes here. You get 2 extra votes when you go to the parliamentary sort of vote there. So this is the architect. The tradeswoman then, she can buy and sell. Well, you can utilise her to buy and sell any trading goods at the market. So you can see the costs. Maybe you want to sell first, then you want to buy. So you're going to sell some of these and then buy some of the cheaper ones, because you're trying to get the right goods to either, turn them over through some of your buildings into better stuff, send them off to the ships to get more lucrative prestige. And you can see your prestige is kind of tracked on this little snake here as well. Once you get to 80, you just keep going around. Or you can get 1 resource or product from the stock of your choice. So maybe you don't want to do any trading, you just want to grab one of your choice from the cheapest of those there. And it kind of reminds you here, and again, you cover up the one you've done so the opposition, the other players can't match that in the same round as well. And that is all of your 5 actions. So you're going to pick an action, you've chosen one, you go, right, architect, do your action, then the next player goes and they're going to do their card, and then you come back to you and you do your card, say in a 2-player game. And then eventually everyone's going to have 1 card remaining, and you have to kind of stack these so everyone can see, which one you've used. And then eventually everyone reveals, and you can see we've revealed the mayor, and it says on the back here, you're in the parliamentary phase here. So we've done all the actions then. And equally, forgot to say, the 4th card you play actually determines player order. So if you've got the highest 4th card, in this case a 4 versus a 3, you're going to be starting play next round, which I find absolutely fascinating in this game, because not only are you trying to get the best actions, but you're trying to play that right card on the 4th card to get the starting player, but then leave your 5th card to be strong enough in the votes. And it's slightly different in the El Presidente expansion. You're kind of using this top row to determine your starting player, but I prefer this base game myself. But we'll go through that shortly. So let's just give you a close-up then. We've done the bills, we've done the action phase there, we've changed the starting player based on the 4th card. Now it's the parliamentary phase. So we reveal our 5th card, great. We show the number of votes, so we have 5 here. You then will bid money for each additional vote. Now some buildings, for example here, can add on votes. Now everyone takes some money, even if you're not bidding, you have a closed hand, you all reveal, and for each money you spend is an extra vote. You add up all your votes, if it's a tie, you then go again and reveal. Now everyone who spent money, it does not come back to you. You lose that money, even if you didn't actually win it and have any political sway. The winner with the most votes will then go through to pass 2 bills. So you can see the 4 up here. You're going to pick 2 of them, and sometimes the ones in here you're not sort of favourable towards your operations and how your plantation is working. So maybe we go for this one here, And we go for this one here. Now, why have we gone for this one? Because maybe we haven't actually got one of these citrus to provide as a subsidy to give us these victory points. So we've gone for this one instead, which is 2 products of any kind. Even though it's more expensive, we're looking at our opposition going, well, they've built up for this citrus to give away to get the points, and now they haven't even got anything else to give. So that's the tactical sway here. And the Drought Act, the worker gets only 1 product, which is huge, folks, because normally this gives you 2 products. It's only going to give you 1 product. So maybe you have, in mind for the next round that you're not really looking to get many products, but you want to hinder all your opponents. Now, I should add, before I forget, you can spend water to give you an additional product in terms of your production spaces. So you could produce from 3 spaces rather than 2 if you spend water, which is quite nice as well. Now you implement the current action. You can see there's 4 spaces, and you're actually going to trigger these in the statue phase. So you're looking at number 1. If anyone can pay 2 coins, they do so, and they get 2 victory points. Then the duty, if anyone can provide 2 of those products, you get 2 victory points as well. If you achieved both of these, you get 5 points. So there's an extra sneaky prestige there as well. You then go through the other ones and you trigger the Drought Act, and there's loads in here, folks. There's a good old deck there, and there's loads of random sort of things adding theme and flavour to this sort of implementation of Cuba at the time. Okay, next thing then, end of a round, you put all your products that you've not stored in your warehouse back to the supply. So you want to be triggering with your foreman this spot here. And it kind of reminds you nicely on the board as well that that's where your products go. You then move the ships in the harbour, so those will set sail and they'll give those back to the supply. These will come down, this one will come in as well. At the end of round 2, and I think it was 6, there'll be a ship here and that automatically goes whether it's full or not. So you've got a bit of a cycle, you've got a whole deck here, and then you bring these back into play as well, cycle them down. So that's the ships. You're then removing these black markers, so any that were out there, you're getting rid of those. And then you take your character cards back into your hand. And you keep going, folks, 6 rounds, and eventually you're going to score VP. So how have you achieved that then? Well, most of them are through the game. And it's got nicely on the back here, it says, the architect erecting buildings. So every building you have in your plantation is 2 victory points each. Now the architect, you can get points as well by going here throughout the game to get points there. Your foreman may use buildings in your actual plantation that offer you victory points. So some of them, let you turn various goods into VP. So this one, 5 money up to twice into 2 VP. So yeah, the buildings can be very lucrative. The mayor can supply ships. So obviously you're getting those goods, you're exporting them, and you're getting VPs that way. And finally, by sort of tax acts and getting these VPs here as well. And that, folks, is Cuba. What a beautiful, stunning looking game. Now, in terms of mechanics, it's not offering anything fresh because obviously this is like a really old game. I think it was 2007, but games that really feel similar to me is something like Pillars of the Earth. It's that basic sort of worker placement, even though this isn't worker placement, but it's that vibe really. Simple choices, but lots of depth and lots of dynamic competition over which buildings. There's only so many out there. And if you can get a little engine going where you've got, your foreman triggering one that offers money and then you're turning the money into VPs. Excellent, folks. Now, I did promise you I would look at the expansion, which I've got hiding here. I'm not going to go through in detail, but you can see you've got this board that would basically bolt on to the top here, and it's offering you different spaces with your characters up there. There's a donkey, and you can see one of them lets you go first and second, and there's a car that cycles through as well. But in terms of that, it's offering you extra buildings, which are all muddled in as well, extra ships, extra cards, and a few extra bits. And it's quite difficult to find a copy of this. Would you need it? I don't think so. If you really, really love the game, it offers a bit more variety. But for me, the base game is solid. Yes, it's kind of, medium complex. It's not too much to think about, but it offers so many nice things, especially the decision process as to where you're going to place this worker and trigger, the resource collection, and then equally the foreman with the building. Lots to like here, folks. If you can find a copy, there we are. Cuba. Enjoy.